So we are live with some more Final Fantasy Brawl. This time we're going over a Vivi list. Now Vivi is, if you had to judge just based on the power of the card, Vivi is probably the most powerful commander individually to come out of Final Fantasy VII, or Final Fantasy period. It's basically almost Vadrok Plus in terms of what it's capable of. Vadrok obviously is a very powerful commander in both Brawl and Commander properly. In fact, I do believe it's in this deck. Basically, this reduces the spell cost of things by X by flipping day or night. Vivi, very similar, except it has a 0 at X mana, where X is Vivi's power. Then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Vivi, deals 1 damage to each opponent. Obviously, if Vivi can stay on the board for any period of time and you can protect Vivi, then the game gets out of hand very quickly if you have any type of reasonable card selection, card draw, which obviously most Spellslinger decks have a pretty good balance of. As far as what all this deck is capable of, I mean, you basically have all the broken blue-white spells or blue-red Spellslinger cards. I think the one exception is it's not playing the 6-mana spell card, Mind's Desire, I believe it is, but it is playing a number of, taking turn spells. You have Expropriate, you have Karn's Temporal Sundering, you have Temporal Manipulation and Time Warp. So several time taking spells. You also have, all the good protection spells, Pact of Negation, Counter Spell, Mana Drain, etc. You have the Consider, Curiosity. You have a number of ways to manipulate the deck, Brainstorm. So you have a lot of cheap cantrips, a lot of cheap counter spells. Basically you're playing all the cheap stuff. Some of these cards I'm not as familiar with, but they are pretty reasonable for what they do. And then, Invert Polarity is another counter spell. Vadrok here to help cheapen spells. Brawlz in here. Stormcatcher Mentor. Basically anything you'd expect in good Spellslinger deck. You have anything that makes spells cheap. You have a few over-the-top win cons like Niv Mizzet, etc. Indris, Lightning Bolt in your library. There are some arena-only cards. I'm not a huge fan of these, but they do make sense for what the deck's doing. You also have Sapphire Collector, which is the one that makes a Mox Sapphire and puts it in your hand whenever you cast your second spell. So this deck has a lot going on. I haven't explored all of the cards yet. I've only played a couple matches with the deck. But, Vadrok decks or Vivi and Vadrok are very similar in what they're doing. It's basically you're a Spellslinger deck trying to stay alive long enough to take over the game and then take some turns and close out the game pretty quickly. So let's get into some matches, and probably, I don't know if we're closing out Final Fantasy after this week. We'll certainly be visiting more Final Fantasy commanders as we can. Edge of Eternities is coming out soon on Arena. Did the pre-release this weekend. It was a bit of a blast. It's been a while since I've gotten out and played a non-commander paper event. Well, non-commander paper format at all. So Azure against Vivi. All right. So Tome of the Infant. Cast a non-creature spell. Yeah, sand seems reasonable. Okay. Cast that. Mox Amber isn't a terrible card to trigger with Vivi. So I think if our opponent goes for, I don't want to say go for broke. Our opponent just goes for just jamming their thing on turn 2. We'll have Tail's End. If they are a little more patient, they may very well have a discard spell to take our 1 counter spell, then things can get a little bit more difficult, but Instead, our opponent just goes for the jam. Search for his Kanta makes things interesting. I think we go Vivi into Mox Amber. Guess we can go Proft. Oh, for some reason they can't kill. For some reason they can't kill Vivi. This puts us, I think, in a very good situation. But they are playing black and white, so chances are D's to D's plus they can kill this. Yep, out to the command zone. Play Brawlz. And to search for his Kanta. Sure, opponent with all the removal. It's definitely a card I'm glad to put in the graveyard. Mastery is definitely an interesting card. Doesn't seem like a lot of our cards will be going to the graveyard this game, to put it nicely. So. I haven't played against too much Zur over the times. Sure. Good card, but I really need another land drop. Or polarity. Your turn, other knights, hunters. Could certainly wait, but once again, we really need to continue to advance our board. This one's interesting. Alright. With a Jace, draw some cards. Okay. Again, looking for a land. Glad to put that 6-drop in our graveyard. I think we literally just pass right now. There's no way they jam. Whatchamacallit again, is there? this, trigger that. Would have been nice to get a hold of that one, but Six Mastery not really doing a whole lot with this particular hand. Put it with access to 1 mana. Grave Shot's not terrible, but I don't think it's what we want here. Are they holding up Alcide, or are they... Oh, for crying out loud. How many kill spells do they have? Guess the answer is all of them. Sure. Comes back, makes another 2/2. Counter my souls to the yard. Transform. Alright, trigger, prowess, trigger. Trigger, prowess, trigger. Alright, let's see what you got. Ponder. It's not terrible. Expropriate. Yeah, we'll go ahead and shuffle. What's your top card? It is Suspension Field. Okay. Question is, do they replay Zur, or do they kill something? Looks like their answer was kill something. Mizzix Mastery in this game? Probably. As long as they don't scare or kill the mage here, we have a chance. Yeah, the Orko lookalike. To be fair, Vivi was a huge part of, oh, of course they have another kill spell. That's a tiny bit ridiculous in terms of how many kill spells they've had. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're going to 4. Alright, well, hopefully they don't have a counter spell in hand. Gives us another chance to bury something here. So we're gonna need to fetch shock. So each card that's an instance or sorcery, copy it, and cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Alright. Experimental Augury, Ponder, Bird Polarity, targeting Crackle with power, yes, and Grape Shot. Pretty sure we're dead with me taking this line, but if we had some type of bounce spell or something, we could possibly have okay. I mean, this would be great. We're just dead on board, so. We could have tried to kill some of their board, but they ultimately could have protected whatever it would take to kill us with Alced of Life's Bounty, because I do believe that gives protection from a color. Yep, target creature or planeswalker, or target creature enchantment you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, so. We needed to keep either Vivi or the other pinger in play, and our opponent just had like, 5 kill spells that game, so. I'm gonna say it, bro. Besides, you're one to talk, considering your Vivi deck just goes blah, and game's over. Against Azusa, Lost But Seeking. Looks like this has been upgraded to Hellq deck, or pretty close. Don't think this hand does enough. This hand does a little bit more. Copy a target creature you control, looks a bit, it's flying and isn't legendary. Yeah, we'll keep it. Turn 1. Ramp spell. Curious if they tap out for Azusa here. Two. So as much as I would love to surveil here, I think I have to kill Azusa. And then jam Brawlz here. Unless we happen to have drawn a counter spell here. So Brawlz. Guess we technically could have jammed Vivi there if I would have played that and played any of these spells under it. A cool Moldiah. Well, that's going to be fun. Really do need to find a counter spell, huh? Not exactly the cards we were looking for. Guess we'll take Mox Amber. So I'll do that. Play Vivi. Don't think I'm going to play Chrome Mox out because that is like just asking to get hit by Primal Command. But the opponent is basically going to be able to set us back to the Stone Age. Alright, what are you plowing under, my friend? Interesting. So they're choosing not to plow under this turn. We'll just get an island here. Mountain, I guess. Makes copy of Vivi. Still think we hold on to that and pass the turn. Dust Bowl is really super annoying. Feels like our opponent is trying to play Azusa.land destruction. That graveyard. Physics Mastery, huh? Two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Let's just hit you for 5 in the air. 1, 2, 3. Of course they have another land on top. Why wouldn't they? Guess they're gonna have to kill the 2 flying Vivis. Okay, let's tackle Vivi. I can't currently cast Endurance for any relevancy. Guessing this is the turn they finally cast Plow Under. Creature they grab here. Emrakul, seriously? No blocks. Yeah, apparently. And then we just basically died Emrakul. Alright, moving on. Yeah, apparently Plowlander is legal. Not sure what set it was printed into, Arena, but you never know what cards are going to show up in Brawl. It seems pretty reasonable. So a card comes in enchantment, then put it on the battlefield under your control. Alright, let's surveil and see what we can find here. Doop. Don't need another duplication spell. Play that out. Corvold's a deck that could either have not much removal or be relying on things like Mayhem Devil and like Claim the Firstborn and sacking stuff, so good thing. I mean, we have some counter spells in this deck, but we're not entirely relying on them, so we jam Vivi and kind of hope they don't have much removal. Like, we could take some turns setting up. We could be like looting, expressive iterating, and that kind of stuff. I just really feel like we'll get further if Vivi lives. Gilded Goose. Okay. So we'll start by casting Expressive Iteration. That to hand, that, put that on the bottom, or that. No good reason to attack there. Oh, well, that kind of schnuckers. We'll hold up Flame of Anor for this turn, because I have a feeling they're about to go nutty with Corvold, and Flame of Anor is one of our few pretty decent answers of it. Although I have a feeling our opponent will play around it, but who the heck knows. Nope, Corvold incoming. Let them sack a permanent first. So 5 damage to target creature, target player, Corvold. Opponent can get some black mana off of it, but who knows if they'll actually be able to do anything with it. Okay. Two, three, four, five, six. So they can recast Corvold. Put Indress and House Mode. So I cast Vadrok. I can then cast Cyclonic Rift. Kind of annoying, but not surprising. Sure. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Turn all your crap to your stinking hand. Just might all bounce back. So, Rhythm in the Wild. And Delighted Halfling into recasting. Alright, so recast Vivi. Memory lapse unfortunately doesn't do much here. Is there anything for Mizzix Mastery we could... I didn't get how I'm not able to cast Mizzix Mastery there. Okay, Chatterfang. Am I going to die to an army of angry geese? Okay. That's interesting. Figured they would have found some way to kill me there. They should have attacked with Jadar. Actually, I think if they attacked with Jadar, that was lethal, wasn't it? Oh. Okay, sure. That also works. Apparently, opponent wanted to cast one more spell. Marita Vendrell. Am I familiar with that one? Interesting. This hand's a bit slow. I do think we probably mulligan this one. This hand feels a little bit better. Sure. I guess we take the... Oh, we gotta do mountain here, huh? Vivi into... Let's hold up memory lapse here, I guess. Looks like, I mean, with Karuga being their companion, everything in their deck is 3 casting cost or more. So, not like they have any cheap spells in their deck. So they're probably like, what, a bunch of sweepers and other nonsense. Okay, Tails End, Pact of Negation, not exactly my favorite spell, well, because we still have Memory Lapse too. I'm gonna say, Vivi can be such a dumb card when it gets these kind of hands going. Do believe we're actually going to win this one. Unless our opponent has some type of powerful, uncounterable board sweeper here. Alright, second match against a Kef... Well, my second match against a Kefka deck. I don't know that it's the second match we've played. Sure. Do I lead on here? I feel like we lead on Mountain River Glide. Maybe River Glide Mountain. Should have cast that after casting Vivi, but okay, if you have a counter spell, that's probably a card you want to use it on. Tells me you probably only have one interactive spell for the stack, so you really didn't want to use it on Search for Azcanta. Alright, so mana drain to hand. Pact of Negation to the bottom. That too. Oh, the patience of control duels. I think we let that one happen. We'll just go ahead and suplex it on our turn. Consider is a good card, but I think it should go to the bottom for now. Opponent ultimately decides it's not worth fighting over that. I agree. What does Kefka do? Sure, Baleful Strix. Bloodstained Mire. I mean, cards are currently in my graveyard. 4. We'll go ahead and pitch that one to the yard. Molten Impact. Now they're going to need to make a move if they want to deal with Search for Azcanta this turn. Do I even care about that one? I don't think so. Can't even remotely cast that one right now. I think we just continue to play patient because our opponent's sticking point here is mana, and if we're not drawing them cards, who really cares what they do? Sure. Not enough lands. Oops. Gotta be more mindful about the amount of... Can't see them possibly just jamming in Kefka here. Especially into a face-up memory lapse. That seems... Yep. Blight Crafter, sure. Let's cast a Vivi. Well, that was some real trash. Alright, opponent has 5 mana. What can they do? Hmm. Um... 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think we can do this. Resolve. Decline. Decline. Should have done Curiosity first, but you know. Yep, that's pretty well GG. Decline. And their opponent agrees. Let's do the time walk again. You know, I was trying to figure out what the point of Curiosity was, but I guess it combos quite nicely with both Vivi and Izzet, so that's kind of a dumb question. So what lessons did we learn tonight in terms of Vivi? I mean, there's some of the cards like Crackle with Power I do question a little bit. I know it's a great mana sink for Vivi, and that's probably its best thing. A lot of the other cards are just powerful ways to deal with different things. Is it Visionary? Whenever a source deals non-combat damage, you draw that many cards. Makes sense. Indris makes sense. Never cast insert sorcery. Discover the Formula is just ridiculously powerful. Karn is pretty good. Duplication and House Meld both have their roles. Sulfim makes it a little bit easier to chain with your VVs and your different guys that ping. Tome of the Infinite has different cards that can do solve the equation, pretty powerful. Prismari Command, Vadrok, and Repair Polarity. Trying trying to think if there's any cards that we didn't see. Recast a non-creature spell. Perpetually gets +1/+1. This ability also triggers if this card is in exile. Other insignificance. Yeah, it feels like we saw most of the other cards. A couple things I will point out about the deck. You probably want that stupid, the one that we played last week, that the next spell you play this turn is uncounterable since you are playing mountains in your deck. And gotta be mindful of your island count and play for Mystic Sanctuary. Don't know that any other utility lands might make sense. The blue mill your opponent's library is kind of middling because you don't have any other mill sub-themes in the deck. I mean, as far as sweepers, you have Brotherhood's End, you have Cyclonic Rift, you have River's Rebuke, so you have a couple of sweepers. It really doesn't feel like there's too many overly powerful, aggressive Brawl decks in the upper echelons. Plus, you do have things like Bolt and Grape Shot and these Molten Impact style cards. So, I don't think it's impossible to deal with like a Creature Rush deck. But, yeah. This deck is, I mean, if you can keep Vivi under control, the deck is much more difficult, or much easier to beat from the opposing side. If you can't, for some reason, answer Vivi, it just kind of gets dumb. Torbrand. Yeah, the question is it better than Sulfum? It might be. And triple red might be a little bit more difficult to cast, but it would make, obviously, the pinging strategy a little bit easier with Niv and such. It's possible. Hey, Dale, did you see there was a yet another token doubler in Edge of Eternity? There's like an angel that doubles the number of tokens that comes into play for, I think, Sarah Angel costs. Twin Flame. Either one are possibilities. I just don't know what you cut because they almost feel, and there's nothing wrong with like closing out the game faster, but it just feels like it's increases what the deck does. Is already doing, and the problem with this deck is getting the pieces in place to start getting Vivi or Izzet Perun going and kind of going off from there. And to a lesser extent, that Carusication Mage. Carusication? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, this deck is really able to leverage like Mox Amber, Chrome Mox, some of the powerful early spells, and then just kind of go cut the mill card. I don't think is there a mill card in here? Maybe expropriate. Certainly some possibilities of like some flex spots you can kind of play with. I don't know, because once you get going, obviously, like, solve the equation, discover the formula, allow you to be able to find... No. When I was talking about the mana base, I was surprised that the Blue Mill one isn't in here. Because the Lindblum Industrial Regency is. The blue one, however, is not. I made the comment that I didn't feel it would fit if it was in the deck, since you don't have any other mill sub-theme going on with this deck. You're just trying to win with basically combat and pinging damage, which there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, this deck is pretty... I think this is a very good, well-built Spellslinger deck. I don't really have too many... Well, I can't find too much fault with it, honestly. A couple of cards like Ancestral Anger, I understand it's a like chaining off when you're going off card, and it's a cantrip, so it's not that terrible, but I feel like if Ponder were legal in this form... I think Ponder might be legal, isn't it? It is not. Or do I not own it? Okay. Like, this... like, this Ancestral Anger certainly feels like it's like a placeholder for things like Ponder and such. So, anywho, I want to thank everybody for hanging out this week. My brother, whoever else has been watching and staying silent in chat, whether it's my lovely wife or somebody else. I want to thank everybody for hanging out. And hope to see everybody for next week's stream. See you guys.